everyone, it's Marianne and welcome to A Very Merry Plantmas. Thank you so much for joining me today, and it is December 1st, and you know what that means here on YouTube, it is Vlogmas. So your favorite creators are probably doing their own version of Vlogmas, but here on Plant YouTube, we do Plantmas. This is my third year doing Plantmas. The first time I did 25 days of Plantmas where I talk about one plant per day. And I also did regular Vlogmas on top of that, which is crazy now looking back at it. And last year I did 12 days of Plantmas. So this year I'm doing a Very Merry Plantmas, which is kind of the same as the previous Vlogmas / Plantmas that I did, but hopefully this year is a little bit more chill. I'm still trying to produce content 3 times a week, and on top of that I do want to be posting daily, so I'll have shorts in between and also reshare some of my videos here in 2021, my top videos as well as my favorite ones. So for those who have just recently joined me or have been with me for a while, this is your chance to watch or rewatch those videos that I have put out this year. So I'm really excited, and for this video I'm going to share with you my plant in numbers. So in my fall plant collection video, which I put out right before Vlogmas, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'll link it up here and also down in the description. That video is basically the culmination of my year-long plant journey of trying to declutter and curate my plant collection. And this is my third year collecting houseplants, and also after that rush of houseplant collecting became mainstream during the pandemic and is now slowing down, I've also started to reassess my relationship with my houseplants. And as much as I still love and continue to love my houseplants, my dynamic and relationship with them has changed over the years. So I want to make sure that I'm still in a healthy place with my houseplants, that I'm able to take care of them as well as take care of myself. What I love about doing Plantmas videos is this is the time that I get to reassess, look back, and evaluate my plant journey in the past year, and also see if I hit the goals that I set myself during last Vlogmas. So my goal was to declutter my plant collection from over 100 to under 80, and as you saw in my fall plant collection video, I was successful in doing that, and I have 71 plants in my collection total. But in this video, we're going to break down those numbers even more into a quantitative analysis of my houseplants, especially with the new plants that I brought in this year. And I know this is a little bit nerdy, but I think it's going to be fun to see the numbers and see if I actually hit my overall goals with my houseplants, not just with the decluttering, but also bringing in new houseplants and also staying within my houseplant budget that I set for 2021. So let's get into the numbers. So for 2021, I set a goal of bringing in only 20 new plants or not spending more than $400 in plants, whichever one comes first. So when it comes to my houseplant budget goal, I definitely was under $400, not including, of course, money I spent buying plant supplies and plant accessories, just the amount of money I spent on buying plants. I spent a total of $353.24. So I think it was great that I was able to stay under budget. $353 is still a lot of money, but I'm glad to be under my houseplant budget goal. But when it comes to the number of new plants that I can bring in 2021, I set a goal of 20 new plants. But the total number of plants that I got in 2021 is 31. So that is way more than almost double the goal that I set for myself, but here is the breakdown of that. When it comes to new plants that I added into my collection in 2021, I bought about 19 new plants. I got 8 plants in trades and 4 plants for free. So in total, it is 31 plants that I added into my plant collection. But since I only bought 19 new plants, it is under my goal of 20 new plants, kinda. But out of those 19 plants, only 10 of them survived, and out of the plants that I got through trades, only 6 survived. So when you think about it, I only added 60 new plants into my plant collection, and out of those 16 plants that survived, 4 of them are still propagating, so they're technically not established plants yet. So when you think about it, I only added 12 new plants into my collection, not 31. And if you're wondering what are those plants that I added into my collection, the ones I bought, I got from trades, which one have died and are still surviving, I have upcoming videos on that, on my best and worst plant purchases, as well as on my best plant trades and my best plant propagations. I hesitated making a video on my worst plant trades because I feel like that's unfair to the person I traded with, because I consented to the trade. And second, when you're doing trades, there's always a risk involved, same way when you're buying plants. But I don't want to make the person or persons I traded with feel bad by making a worst plant traits video when really it's not their fault that the plant didn't survive or didn't do well under my care. But if you want me to do that video, especially if you're one of those people that I traded with, please comment down below and I'll be happy to do that video. But assessing my entire plant collection in numbers, as I mentioned in my fall plant collection video, I have 71 plants in total that belongs to me, but I do have about 9 plants propagating that's in my prop box, and I do have some propagations up there in my prop station, which I didn't really count towards anything because I mainly have those cuttings for aesthetic, and once those cuttings actually root, they're probably just going to be given away or repotted back together with their mother plant. So I didn't really count them as additional propagations or possible future plants, unlike I did with the plants that I have in my prop box, which they are eventually going to be plants that are added into my collection, like the Monstera adansonii and also maybe some of the Synapsis plants and the Syngonium albo that I have in the prop box. The total number of plants that I still have duplicates of is 4, which is my Synapsis exotica, Synapsis argyrius, the Synapsis Tribii Moonlight, and also my air plant. My air plant, I have like a couple of them, and I don't really sometimes consider them as houseplants just because of their nature. They're more of like a home decor at this point. But if I want to get real technical about it, I do have duplicate air plants. And when it comes to my Synapsis plants that are duplicates, I think half of them are actually propagations, which again in the end are probably plants that I'm going to end up giving away or selling. And I think I also have like the Syngonium albo, because I do have the single leaf cuttings propagating in my Kia greenhouse cabinet, and I have the mother plant propagating in the prop box. So for that, I'm thinking of just combining them into one plant eventually once they have fully rooted, or I might save some of the single leaf cuttings for giveaway or to sell next year. So this year, in the process of decluttering and creating my houseplants, I felt like I gave away or sold a lot of my houseplants, but to be honest, not really. I think I've given more than I actually sold or traded away. So a lot of the plants that I sold, gave away, or traded with are duplicates of my houseplants, so that's how I actually was able to bring down the number of plants that I have in my collection. But for actual plants that I didn't have duplicates of, that I just either sold or give away, I think it was only about 3 or 4 of them. So one of them was the Rhabdophyra tetrasperma tissue culture that I gave away, and then I had my Ficus burgundy that I also gave away at the beginning of the year. As much as I love my Ficus burgundy rubber tree, it's my least favorite among all of my ficus plants, so I had to give away that one in the process of me Marie Kondoing my houseplants. And then the other 2 plants that I gave away was my Peperomia obstifolia, which I gave away in a plant swap. Because usually when you go to plant swap, you don't necessarily just trade with people. You could also bring plants that you just want to give away and not expect anything in return. So I also brought a number of plants that I just want to give away in the plant swaps that I attended this year, and one of them was the Peperomia obstifolia, and the other plant that I most recently gave away was my Monstera adansonii narrow-form, because between the 2 Monstera adansonii plants that I had, the narrow-form and the wide-form, I like the wide-form a lot better, so I gave away the narrow-form. But this was before I discovered there was root rot in my wide-form. That's why I had to chop it off and put it in my prop box. And when I gave away my narrow-form, I did save some of the nodes from the plants and I propagated them, and now they have also sprouted new leaves. So I sort of kind of have a Monstera adansonii narrow-form again, but I also might end up just trading with it, giving it away, or just selling it next year. I don't think I am inclined to keep it because there are other plants that I like in my collection that I rather keep instead of that one, especially since I gave away the mother plant in the first place. And when it comes to plants I killed, this year is kind of like a landmark year for me because I killed quite a number of plants this year, and by my count I killed about 10 plants. And I think a lot of those plants were duplicate plants, so it didn't hurt as much. But when it comes to actual plants that I didn't have duplicates of that I killed, was one, my Fittonia. I killed that because you know how Fittonias are very dramatic. When you don't water them, they just wilt, but if you water them again, they'll be alive again and be normal. But the last time that happened, I think I pushed it a little bit too far, and the Fittonia didn't bounce back after I watered it. So that one went to trash, and a similar thing happened to my pink polka dot plant. It didn't even survive a month in my care. I also forgot to water it, and it died like the Fittonia. And another plant that died in my care was the Calathea White Fusion. I got it as a gift from Jeff from Plants Alive. I tried my hand in Calathea with that one, but that one was just a spider mite magnet no matter what I did with it. So eventually it just died in my care. I think I tried planting it outside and didn't survive, so it died. Sorry if the framing got changed, battery died, but as I was saying, when it comes to plants that died that hurt me the most, it was a couple of Hoyas. First one was the Hoya carrii alba marginata, which is part of my Thailand import from last year. And second is the Hoya kentiana variegata, which I bought from Plant here in Chicago. And I think both of them had the same issues. While the roots were healthy, for some reason oxygen, water, or nutrients being absorbed by the roots wasn't going through the leaves because their stems was dried out. So last plant statistic that I'm going to share with you is the number of plants that I left outside. So right now I have 2 plants that I have left outside, which you might find surprising. First one is the Bird of Paradise. Yes, the Bird of Paradise that I dubbed as Plant of the Year. I left it outside, and my Xanadu. So the Xanadu I also got pretty much the same time I got the Bird of Paradise, which was December of last year. So the Xanadu I wasn't really into because I'm not into philodendrons in general, but I saw it at Lowe's for like half off. It was like only $13 for a really large pot, so I got it, but I wasn't really in love with it. So when the growing season started, I just left it outside and kept it outside and never bought it back. I was going to give it away, but ended up not giving it away. And now it's kind of like, well, you can see from the footage here, it's already starting to die from the cold. And even if I want to bring it back in now, it doesn't really have any space inside the house to be brought back in. And the other one, the Bird of Paradise, I left it outside because I wanted to do an experiment on it. See it will grow back next growing season, kind of like the banana plants and the alocasias that we have outside. But to be honest, the Birds of Paradise is still doing well. The banana leaves, the alocasia, and even the Thamatophyllum bananophyllum propagation that we planted in their backyard all have lost their leaves to the cold already, while the Bird of Paradise still has its leaf. It's one single leaf, but it still has its leaf. So we'll see what happens with the Bird of Paradise. I'm going to keep you updated. And you know, if it doesn't survive, that's okay. I got the Bird of Paradise for about $13. And like in the past, the Bird of Paradise is now very easily accessible and very affordable. So if this doesn't survive the experiment that I'm doing on it, I could easily get another one if I want to replace that plant. But yeah, that's my 2021 houseplants in numbers. And as mentioned earlier in this video, I'll be doing videos on my best and worst plant purchases, my best trades, and all of that. So do watch out for those videos. And if you have any questions or suggested videos for Vlogmas, please let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to do them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next Plantmas video. Bye!
Deserves a little bit of love. Every face I've seen